Hey everyone, Melissa here. Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to do the BookTube Newbie Tag today for Tag Tuesday, and also because last Thursday was my 1 month anniversary on BookTube, and I figured I might as well do the BookTube Newbie Tag to celebrate that, and mainly because I haven't done so before. Anyway, so let's just dive right in with the questions. There are 10 questions, so I did take a few notes. And anyway, so why did I start the channel? So I really enjoy, sharing and talking about books. Whether that is on my blog or with people in person. I have, a decent amount of people in person and online that I do talk about books with. But there's just really something about a community of readers that I just get so much enjoyment from, and I just really like that sense of community. So I just really enjoy recommending books. I mean, it's one of my favorite things to do. And so that's really one of the reasons why I started the channel. It was also a new thing. I've never done anything like this before. I've never done video editing. Didn't really know the first thing about it really until a couple weeks, more than like 6 weeks or so ago. So it's something new to learn. I am in my early 50s, and I think that it's really important to just kind of keep engaged with learning new things all the time, and so I kind of look at this like the same way. So, like I said, I've been a blogger for 12 years, and while I don't really subscribe to the idea that blogging is dead or dying, I think that there are still some phenomenal blogs out there. I do think that something about the blogging community is it's not what it used to be in the early days of blogging, and that's kind of unfortunate, I think, because it was really a special place. I think some of that has been lost. I'm not sure why or the reasons why. I could probably think about that a little bit more if I thought about it a little bit more, but and I think that there's a lot of factors involved, social media and everything else, but something about the BookTube community, as Steve Donoghue says, our little corner of BookTube feels like those early days of blogging. And I think that's something that I missed, and something that I was sort of craving in a way, maybe during this pandemic time. And yeah, so I'm just really excited to be here. And I also, another reason I wanted to start the channel was because I don't think I'm a very good or eloquent public speaker, and that's something I want to improve. And I thought that doing the BookTube channel would be a way to do that. So, and also kind of combining something that that I love and that I enjoy. So far, I'm really enjoying being here, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, question number 2. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to BookTube? I don't know about fun and unique. I don't think I'm very fun or unique, quite honestly. I don't always read like the biggest or the hottest books. So maybe one thing that I think I can bring is maybe some exposure to some, smaller books, some lesser known titles that, might be of interest. I read a lot of local authors, or people from, I'm based in Pittsburgh, so I read a lot of Pittsburgh authors and people who are set in my hometown of Philadelphia. So maybe that, I don't know. Number 3, what am I most excited for about this new channel? Well, like I said, connecting with the BookTube community, and I'm really grateful to those who have kind of welcomed me so far over the past couple months, whether it is subscribing to the channel, whether it's letting me crash their, live events. Sometimes, you know, it feels like joining in on a party that has already been going on for hours, like you're like that person who's just walked in the door, and that's okay. It's just, you just need to find, one or two people to kind of connect with and to have that conversation, start having that conversation with. I was never good at that. I was never the person who even liked going to any big events or anything like that. So anyway, so I in some ways that's what BookTube feels like, coming in as a new person. But like I said, there have been several of you who I'm thinking of, the Bookish Bryants, who have tagged me in some tags. Noah over at Everyone Who Reads It Must Converse, for welcoming me into their little circle. And there's dozens of others. So thank you. It has been very gratifying so far. So it really has been a great month. Question number 4. Why do I love reading? I don't even know if I can really put it into words, quite honestly. I just do. I think that reading is a way to discover new ideas and new perspectives. I grew up in a very, like a suburban town, very white, very, a lot of people, were the same, and there really wasn't much diversity in a way. So reading books really took me out of that world. I worked in our town's public library, and I wouldn't say that I read very diversely when I was younger, but I think that, certainly as I've gotten older, even going to college, the books that I read, for my undergrad degree, I think that, has really broadened my worldview and my perspective. So I'm grateful for reading, for doing that. I also think that as a reader, books offer a window into situations and into, in ways that you can relate to your own life, and in ways that may be applicable for situations that you may not have encountered yet in your own life. And when that situation does come up for you, you can refer back to a character or a story, or a novel, or a work of nonfiction, and draw on that. And I think that that's something that's really powerful, and something that, is worth celebrating, the way that we do here. So it's also a source of enjoyment, and it's pleasure, and it's pure escapism, especially in these times. And it's all of that. So why do I love reading? It's all of the above. It's just something it's like I how I love breathing or eating, or so anyway, so okay, number 5. What book or series got you into reading? All right, that has to be, there's an author from Philadelphia. She passed away in 1990, but Carolyn Haywood. She had a series. She was a writer of 47 books for children, and her series was B is for Betsy. So it was like the Betsy series, and Betsy had a friend named Eddie. And he had his own series of books too. And her first book, B is for Betsy, was published in 1939. And then the subsequent books were published in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. And these are the first books that I can remember checking out of the library. I can still distinctly remember taking one of these books off the shelves. It was probably either like B is for Betsy, or Here Comes the Bus, or C is for Cupcake. I can distinctly remember taking them off the shelf, or my mother taking them off the shelves, because she always, took me to the library for story times and to pick out books, and any number of things. And I just remember going there a lot, and not being able to reach the circulation desk to put all my books up there, but those books just they made such an impact on me, and they were really very simple stories about childhood, about kids, and the first day of school and playing in the snow and taking the bus for the first time, and I just absolutely loved it. The series was for kids ages like 7 to 10. I think I was about 5 when I was reading these. But like some of them were like Betsy and Billy and Back to School with Betsy and Betsy's Little Star, which was our little sister who was born at Christmas time, and um, and then there was, aside from that, there were other books that had the same characters, like Here Comes the Bus. One of them, one of her titles, which was published in 1969, was called Taffy and Melissa Molasses. And I thought that was so freaking awesome to see my name on a book title. I thought that was amazing. To have a character have the same name as me, I thought was amazing. And we're talking we're talking like mid 70s at this point, like 1974, 75, 76. There weren't too many people, at least in my world, named Melissa. So to see a character that had my name was just like the coolest thing. And I think that kind of, something about that kind of stuck in my mind. Like, okay, books can hold like the potential for you to see yourself reflected in that. And I think that is really so important today, with kids being able to see themselves reflected in books. I think that's why diverse books are so important. That is a really powerful message, for for all kinds of communities, for the Black community, for Black children, for anybody. I think that for people with disabilities, I think it's really important. So I don't actually even own any of the Carolyn Haywood books, although I did find Eddie's Green Thumb. Eddie also had his series of books. Anyway, but you can see like how, I guess for the lack of a better word, dated these are right now. This was like $1.50 at a book sale and a library book sale. And of course I like snatched it up, but you can see like these are like, Dick and Jane and Spot, and these are like these types of books, but I absolutely love them. So, and I should also say, because I could talk about these books for a while, but so when I was about, I would say probably about like 7 or 8 or so, I realized, or my mother realized, that Carolyn Haywood actually lived in Philadelphia, where I grew up. And again, I thought that was just like the coolest thing, that here was a writer who I loved, who was, lived like within like a half hour of my house. And I just thought that was amazing. So I wrote her a letter, and she wrote back. And not only that, she told me about the book that she was writing at the time. She was telling me about when it was coming out and whatever. And like, to my 7 or 8-year-old self, that was like the greatest thing ever. I mean, I think if I didn't want to become a writer at that point, that's when that really kind of crystallized it for me. It was like, this is something that I want to do, that I know I want to do, for my own life. And yeah, and I just thought that was just, that connection with authors and writers has just kind of always stayed with me, I think. Another series I think that I would be remiss to mention would be my grandmother. My mom always I always got books as presents. for Christmas, for Easter, whatever, definitely for my birthday. And one of the things that one of the books that she gave me were like these collections of, they are the illustrated junior library editions. So she gave me the lights, actually, but Grimm's fairy tales. Look at the cover on these, they're gorgeous. And there were like these pictures throughout, and so I got several of these. I got a total of 5, but then she would also write in them, to Melissa, 1976 Christmas, from Mom and Papa Parting, so she gave me this one, Heidi, the glare, I'm sorry, the glare, Heidi, let me try to turn off this lamp here, see if that's better, maybe that's better, I don't know, Heidi, no, I think I need it, and this one doesn't have a fancy cover, one of the glossy covers, but The Wizard of Oz, this one was probably 1977, so those I still have, those I absolutely will not part with, but yeah, the Carolyn Haywood series of books, and these books from my grandmother, my grandparents, definitely got me hooked on being a reader back in the day. So, question number 6, what questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? I don't know, can't think of any. And I think, I don't know, I can't, maybe, why they started their channels, and what keeps them going, and, but I think that a lot of those answers, I love the tag videos that people do, so, I think they're always a great way to find out about somebody and really get to know the person behind the books, really. So question number 7, what challenges do you think starting a BookTube channel will be the hardest to overcome? Definitely my lack of technology. I am not very, like I said, not very technologically inclined. It took me a while to figure out what a split was in a video. Gotta thank Courtney Ferriter for walking me through that, because we have the same editing software that came with our package, and I just couldn't figure out how to do it. My first video was sort of like a mess in producing that, but I think as I and I think one of the things I've learned over the last month is that it's okay to be low tech, that there's a lot of booktubers who are very low tech, and I appreciate that. So, because I really don't have time to be, futzing around with, graphics and, to make things fancy, and I just don't. That leads into my other answer for this question. Another challenge I think is time. I work full time. My kids, they're a little older, they're 19, they're in college, but, they still need me for different stuff. They're twins. One is still at home doing virtual school, and the other's on campus, so, at her college, so, like I said, they still need me to do stuff, and my husband needs me to do stuff, so I think that, I have a lot of obligations, at home and at work. I'm also still keeping up my blog too, as much as possible, and because I don't want to give that up. I look at BookTube as a way to kind of supplement that. So, number 8, when did you start reading? We kind of covered that a little bit, but I was a really early reader. I started reading when I was 3. My mom made these flashcards, and they had very simple words, like, it would be like, I went to the store, and each word would have its own flashcard, and we would spend hours in the basement with these cards, and she would lay them out on the floor, and show me that the words can form different sentences. And so I then began to learn. That's how I learned how to read, was from these homemade little flashcards on index cards, whatever, that my mom made. And it's still like one of, the earliest memories that I have. And anyway, so I learned how to read that way. And by that point, in the first grade, by first grade, I was reading on a sixth grade level. And I was tested to see if I could skip kindergarten, and I failed miserably. And it's something that my mother still talks about to this day. Like, one of the questions that I didn't get right was what the difference was between pain, the kind of pain that you feel, and the window pane. I didn't know the difference between pain and pain. So, questions like that was the reason why I couldn't skip kindergarten and go into first grade. So, that was the Philadelphia public school system at the time. So, based on the series of tests, but anyway, so whatever. So question number 9: where do you read? Anywhere I can. I always have a book with me, or my Kindle at least. I generally like reading before bed. I'm trying to get better at turning off my laptop at a certain point in time. And so I'm not up all hours of the night, usually watching, BookTube. But I'm trying to get better at, winding down in the evening with a book, and, taking the book to bed. I really enjoy doing that. Also, I like audiobooks. I'm a big audiobook listener in the car, although I will say that I also subscribe to a lot of podcasts. So that's also a competitor for my audiobook time. But once I'm into a good audiobook, I really stay with it in the car. I don't really listen to audiobooks too much around the house, like while doing housework or anything like that. I'm not really into housework anyway. If you've seen like the state of our house, you would probably know that. But anyway, yeah, I'm not into that. But definitely audiobooks. But like I said, I don't really have that much of a commute anymore, because I'm only working in the office 2 days a week at this point, thanks to the pandemic. So yeah, and I also read audiobook. I also read on my Kindle, and I usually have at least like 3 books usually going at the same time. one a print book, and one on my Kindle, and an audiobook. Anyway, number 10. What kind of books do you like to read? My preferred genres are memoir, literary fiction. I like LGBTQ fiction, as well as nonfiction that covers LGBTQ history and biographies, and memoirs. I am kind of in the minority in that I really like short stories, especially stories that are interlinked together. I think those are really one of my favorites. I'm getting into some historical fiction. It has to be the right thing. I like periods that are not necessarily World War II, because I think I've read a lot of books that are set in World War II. And I'm getting more into mystery and psychological suspense right now. I'm a big nonfiction reader. I like books that have to do with like women's issues, or women's history, social justice issues, politics, like pop culture or trends, productivity, all of that stuff. I love a good anthology. Whether it's like a short story anthology. I like collections of essays. I like some poetry. One of the things I really want to do this year is to get better at reviewing poetry. I just don't think that I review that, well enough, and that's something that I would like to improve. But I do like poetry collections. I read some YA, especially ones that are either like diverse, or whether they are, maybe if they have like an LGBTQ theme, or some kind of social justice theme, or dealing with homelessness or disability. I'll read some YA if they delve into those issues. And I am not very I'm not definitely not a big science fiction or fantasy, horror, romance, or graphic novel or comics reader. I just, there might be a few outliers within those categories that I might read, but yeah, they're really not. They've never really held that much appeal to me. But again, I mean, I can certainly be surprised. I like to think that I have an open mind in terms of reading. So that's one of the things that I love about BookTube, is that it gives you a chance to discover all kinds of different genres and people who are passionate about that. And so, with that, I am just so grateful to be part of this community. Thank you so much for welcoming me over the past month, and I am looking forward to being as much of a contributor as possible. So anyway, with that being said, thanks for watching. If you like this video, hit the like button, hit subscribe to my videos, and I will be back to talk to you in my next video real soon. Thanks so much. Bye.